Hi, my name is Batac. I chose How has Flint, Michigan dealt with the water contamination? I chose this topic because in science we were talking about water pollution around the world. It really interested me and I wanted to learn more about it. In this presentation, we'll talk about the essential questions and other questions surrounding it. Thank you. Flint once thrived as the nation's largest General Motors plant. The city's economic decline began during the 1980s when the GM downsized. In order to reduce the waterfront shortfall, Flint, Michigan decided to move their water supply to Lake Huron. So as they were building pipes, they decided to turn to the Flint River for its water supply. During the switch, officials did not use the proper corrosion control treatment to maintain the stability of rust layers, mainly lead inside the service lines. That's what started the beginning of the water contamination. Within a month, residents began to report smells to their water and discoloration. The water was severely contaminated with mainly high lead and other byproducts. Virginia Tech engineers came in and tested their water. All 32 samples from the water contained lead concentration above the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency levels of 15 micrograms per liter. 4 of the samples were above 500 micrograms per liter, one even 5,000 and one even 13,200 micrograms per liter. The water is still contaminated to this day. Water contamination/pollution has many effects depending on what's polluting the water. Nowadays, drinking untreated water, your body will immediately react to it. You will get a stomach ache at the least. Waterborne diseases account for the deaths of 3,575,000 people a year. That's equivalent to a jumbo jet crashing every hour, and the majority of these are children. Infectious diseases can be spread through contaminated water. Some of these waterborne diseases are typhoid, cholera, paratyphoid fever, malaria, and many more. For the case of Flint lead contaminated water, lead consumption can affect the heart, kidneys, nerves, and health effects of lead exposure in children include impaired cognition, behavioral disorder, hearing problems, and delayed puberty. Flint, Michigan has been dealing with the water crisis since 2014. The city has offered many relief services to the people, but many still protest that the city does not do enough. Flint residents began protesting after turmoil with the government began brewing. Many wanted government officials to be arrested after evidence found them covering up the contamination from the city. Also, many wanted the DEQ to be changed. The government offered water point of distribution centers, POD, where they would offer free water bottles to drink, cook, and bathe. But they closed the POD in 2018 after the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency tested the water, saying it was tested better or similar to other cities. The government claimed that the city water was safe to drink, but many were still wary. Flint's FAST program, funded by the state and federal agencies, has set a goal of replacing the lead service lines that connect water to homes by 2020. As of December 2017, over 6,000 pipes has been replaced, but there is an estimated 12,000 more. Interviewed residents worry that replacing the lines may disrupt and release lead flakes into the water system. Further, pipes and fixtures inside many homes, businesses, and many more are very old and corroded, meaning it could still leach lead. With wide media coverage, many celebrities try helping Flint, Michigan, just like Jaden Smith with his very own water company donating water to the many residents dealing with the crisis. There are many ways to prevent water contamination around the world. Our water gets contaminated in many ways, like factories dumping toxins, improper cleaning, garbage, etc. Here are some ways you can prevent water contamination around the world. Conserve water by turning off the tap when running water is not necessary. This helps prevent water shortages and reduces the amount of contaminated water that needs treatment. Be careful about what you throw down your sink or toilet. Don't throw paints, oils, or other forms of litter down the drain. Use environmentally household products such as washing powder, household cleaning agents, and toiletries. Take great not to overuse pesticides and fertilizers. This will prevent runoffs of the material into nearby water sources. By having more plants in your garden, you are preventing fertilizer, pesticides, and contaminated water from from running off into nearby water sources. Don't throw litter into rivers, lakes, or oceans. Help clean up any litter you see on the beaches or in the rivers and lakes. Make sure it is safe to collect the litter and put it in a nearby dustbin. Water is polluted or contaminated around the world for various reasons. Many are facing water scarcity, and it's not only found in the developing countries, many are found in the developed world. The widespread problem of water pollution kills more people each year than war and all other forms of violence combined. Meanwhile, our drinkable water sources are finite. Less than 1% of the Earth's water is actually accessible to us. Without action later in the future, this problem will be much worse when there is a huge global demand for water. For us in the developed world, we think this problem may not affect us, but potentially harmful contaminants from arsenic, copper to lead have been found in the tap water of every single state in the nation. The severity of the contamination varies, such as Flint, Michigan, who has been dealing with the crisis since 2014. In the developing world, many are facing water scarcity than the developed world. Countries such as Africa are one of the biggest of water scarcity. Nearly 2 million die annually from contaminated drinking water. In Yemen, the water is so scarce due to the turmoil in the country. Many of the cities are ran by terrorists, meaning resources are kept to halt. Yemen's capital, Sana'a, is expected to be the first major city to experience full water scarcity. You can find pollution from all over the world. Many countries are near seawaters but do not have enough money to convert the salt water to fresh water. With help with aid groups such as UNICEF and we, etc., some countries are getting help, but that won't be enough to fix the problem. At the beginning of this project, I wanted to learn about water contamination around the world, and I thought that Flint, Michigan would be a good place to start because it is in the developed world. Many people wouldn't think that in a developed world there would be incidents like this. Despite there being lots of media coverage in America, Flint, Michigan didn't receive much attention until many celebrities brought it up. This made me realize that many in the developed world don't care much about problems occurring in the world and even in cities near them. I learned lots about people dealing with water pollution and many ways to prevent it. Two new questions I would ask is 1. Why did the government officials try hiding the evidence? I would ask this question because I thought the reason the government lost faith from the citizens were because they weren't honest. I believe if they said the problem faster, they could have received help and prevented the deaths. Number 2. Why didn't the government switch back to Detroit water? I would ask this question because the Flint River was the main reason for the contamination, but why didn't the government switch back to the original water supply? Also, why didn't the government ask for help from other cities? The main point I want to emphasize is that our whole world, despite being developed, gets many problems too. Although we have money and goods that developing countries don't have, some of our problems are hard to fix. It really shows how our world is becoming. If a developed world is having tough problems, imagine a developing country who faces many more problems.